All right, back here, Bronco Nation News, continuing our summer series looking at the Mountain West basketball rosters and coaches and seasons after such a great last year. The league trying to replicate that again this year. And one of those teams, Richard Pitino, New Mexico Lobos. Coach, appreciate your time. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Always enjoy good catching up with you. And I know New Mexico, one of the teams picked, going to be picked at or near the top of the league this year. I know you guys lost some key guys, but excited about who you kept and some of the guys you brought in. What's kind of the big picture, I guess, before we dive into some of these individual guys, just the state of your program right now?
Yeah, I mean, we lost a lot. Now, that doesn't take away that we're not excited. But when you lose key guys like Jalen House, Jamal Mashburn Jr., and JT Toppin, there's going to be an adjustment period for sure. JT was the one we felt like we had a pretty good chance of getting him back. And then on the last day, he decided to enter the portal, which his right, certainly. So that was challenging. But we do feel like with the transfers that we added, with Donovan Dent back, with Nelly Jr. Joseph back, with True Washington, Mustafa Amzil, 6th man of the year, we feel like we have enough, I think, to be competitive. Summer's been going really well. A lot of new faces. Everybody's dealing with it. But it's still very, very early in the process, and just trying to put it all together best we can day by day.
I know you do lose a lot, but I mean, in this day and age, to still have 4 guys that I think played at least 18 minutes for you last year coming back, I mean, that's a luxury that not a lot of teams around the league will have.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's why I think people are somewhat positive about our team. I think we probably all, media, coaches, fans, just going to have to shift our perspective of how to judge teams, right? Because having guys back, and I've seen some studies on social media, and who knows, I think we all still value having guys back, but you could still win with a lot of transfers. It's totally changed. We were discussing it today, just talking recruiting, and we're so prone to going on the road in July and evaluating these high school kids. And, how many high school kids do you take versus these transfers is really the balance we're all trying to figure out. But I have definitely liked the new guys we've added to go along with the returners coming back.
Well, let's talk about a couple of those returners first. And Donovan Dent, obviously now kind of was already one of the best guards in the league, and now kind of steps into that spotlight a little more as your top returning guard here. What's his ceiling and his outlook for this year, and not having those other 2 guys around him in Jalen and Jamal? How does that kind of change his game, if at all?
I think playing in those 3 guards together was more challenging than people realize. It wasn't that it didn't work. I mean, obviously went to the NCAA tournament, was able to win 26 games, but guys had to sacrifice. And I don't think there was any other way I would have done it looking back on it. Mashburn was deadly in that mid-range. Jalen House is kind of that spark plug that can kind of do so many different things. And then Donovan was that primary ball handler. But you needed those other guys to touch the ball, where I think you'll see the ball in Donovan's hands a lot. He's a phenomenal passer, and he's a phenomenal layup maker. I thought the beauty of him and our program has been every year has gotten better. And hopefully for Donovan as well as us, we can improve off of that. I think he's a gamer. He's a guy that people want to play with. And I look for him to have an all-conference type year moving forward.
And you had, him paired with the other guards, and you also had kind of down low as well with JT and Nelly Jr. Joseph, and now Nelly kind of, it ascends, at least in terms of the returners, to the main guy you got down there. Well, we saw some really nice things out of him, but what's his outlook moving forward here?
Yeah, we actually were talking about it today. Like, a goal for Nelly, I think, should be to be an all-conference big, and we were talking about it, and honestly, the 2 that I would argue could be ahead of them are Stanley and Degenhart, but we want Nelly to have lofty goals. He was behind the 8 ball in a big way because he got here very, very late because of his visa hold up in Nigeria. He's been here all summer. I think he's really, really motivated to have a great last year. So Nelly is in the best shape of his life. He's tough. He's physical. And, I think he'll be one of the better centers in the league for sure.
What about your other two key returners in Mustafa and True, and how ready, I guess, are they to have an increased role?
Yeah, if you remember, Mustafa started off, couldn't make a shot in the non-conference, really, really struggled. Some of that could be just transfer, finding new, a new home and not being totally comfortable with everything. And then he really went on to shoot, I think, 40% from three in the conference play and was sixth man of the year. So hopefully he can play off that momentum. He's been here all summer as well. He went and played with his national team, which I think hurt his adjustment a little bit, where I think he sees the value in being here all summer. And then True reminds me a little bit of Jalen House in the way of he just impacts the game, whether it's getting a steal, blocking a shot, getting to the rim. He plays with an incredible amount of energy. So, I think Mustafa is certainly older. He kind of is what he is, and I think he'll have a really good year, where I think True could hopefully make like the Donovan freshman to sophomore year jump. Hopefully True can do the same.
I know you're excited about some of the transfers you brought in as well. Maybe just touch on some of those guys and the ones you see in making, a big impact for you.
Yeah, I mean, we tried. Obviously, the JT thing threw us for a loop a little bit, and so we had to go figure out, power forward wise, what we were going to do. And Mustafa Amzil he's a 4-3. He can play some three, and we've tinkered with it a little bit. We really like Jovan, high school kid that we took out of Canada, and he's been very, very impressive. Who could be a 4 for us? He kind of reminds me of Degenhardt a little bit with the skill set. Now, he's still young. He's not as seasoned as Degenhardt is. But then we got Ibrahim Asako is a terrific, terrific athlete. CJ Nolan is a veteran guard who we really like. Philip Boravichin, I'll say his last name wrong, is a kid we've been very impressed with out of Arizona. He's a 6'8" guard with size. I think he'll make an impact as well. Atiki out of BYU. He had been hurt. He's now starting to play, and his athleticism is very impressive as well. So we've got a lot of players, which is going to be a unique challenge for sure.
So overall, I mean, it sounds like you feel pretty good about it. And as I said, I think most people, myself included, are going to have you somewhere in the top 3 for sure. I guess just it's July. I get it. You're still piecing this thing together. You don't play a game for several months, but knowing this league and knowing your team, I mean, you feel pretty good about things?
I do. I actually look at us like Boise was last year. I don't remember the exact non-conference, but I remember them really beefing up the non-conference, and I believe Boise lost a couple of those games. And I think probably from your Twitter, you see fans kind of getting angry about it. And that's why coaches don't schedule as tough as Leon did last year or I'm doing this year, is because people lose perspective. I think Leon knew he had a good team. And in the end, they were playing their best basketball, and maybe the non-conference had something to do with it. If we can survive our non-conference, that's the key, because we play at St. John's. We've got UCLA in Vegas. We've got Arizona State, who's really, really talented. Then USC or St. Mary's, starting a series of VCU at home. We play New Mexico State at home. So I made the comment, I think it's the hardest non-conference schedule in the history of Lobo basketball. Jeff Grammer started looking up stats and trying to prove me wrong. So I gave him a little more work intentionally. But I think if we can steal a couple, I think it's going to make us better in the end. But yeah, I've liked what I've seen so far.
And I know you don't know every team on every roster in the league yet, but what is your take of the league? And some folks saying it's going to be down maybe a little bit compared to last year, but overall, how do you just look at the teams in this league and who you expected to be there at the end?
Well, I think we got to remember 6 is the most in the history of the league to go to the NCAA tournament. So that is, everybody harps on our tournament success. I've never valued tournament success as an indicator of where a program is at. If you look at getting at-large bids, you're realistically going to have to be a top 30 team in the country. So you could argue that maybe we weren't going to get it. I still think we may have gotten it, but that's 6 teams in the top 30. That's really, really good. My first 2 years were 4-4, right? So are we going to get 6? I don't know. I think we'll be really competitive. I think Boise would probably be picked to win it, would be my guess. Utah State did a really good job. Jared did of getting some good guys back. I think Nevada's done a really good job in the portal. I think we'd all be insane to count out San Diego State. I mean, they've earned the right to always be in the hunt. Colorado State got probably the best prospect back, Nate Clifford. So I think it'll be really, really competitive. I've always viewed us as we're the Big East of the West. I really believe that. We have football, obviously the Big East doesn't, but I think it'll be just as fun as it was last year.
Well, Coach, appreciate your time as always, and best of luck this season. Look forward to, I guess, October again, getting to catch up with you down in Vegas, hopefully for media days, and then should be a fun season. We appreciate your time.
You got it. Thank you.